everyone. I'm Staci Mellman. It's great to be here with you today and to learn all about this wonderful accessible travel audience. Thank you to TravelAbility for putting it on. I think the title of our panel is more appropriate to title it "How Florida is Striving to Become the Top Accessible Destination in the World." While Visit Florida plays an important role in that, I think that what we do is not possible without incredible partners in our industry also doing things together. And so we have wonderful speakers today. Myself, Patrick Harrison, who's the CMO of Tampa Bay, Virginia Haley, who's the CEO of Sarasota, and David Jones, who is the founder of SportsAbility Alliance, and from a Visit Florida perspective was really a strong advocate for this audience many, many years ago through activities that we had. So one thing that inspires the work that we do is that we believe that in Florida you'll find people from everywhere on earth, no matter what you believe, whom you love, or what your abilities. This is a place that you can come to embrace new horizons in one splash with color. And this is part of our consumer manifesto that we have as part of our brand. But making visitors feel like they're welcome here is part of our brand promise to brighten the lives of all. But as we've heard through the conference, there is an important business case that validates the pursuit of accessible travelers. So according to the Open Doors study that we heard yesterday, 27 million travelers took 81 million trips in a 2-year period, and their spending power is $58.7 billion, which actually grew 70% within 3 years, and that is only likely to continue to grow. But beyond that, as a general case, when you look at who comes to Florida, serving this audience just makes a ton of strategic sense. So on the chart on the screen, this is a 5-year view of Florida's visitors by generation, and the top light orange line is the line of the boomer generation. And we know as those boomers age, the number of American adults who have a disability will grow, and by 2034, there will be 77 million people ages 65 and older, and 2 out of 5 of those adults will likely have a disability. So it makes sense strategically to market to those travelers and to build travel products for those travelers. But taking a look at the other end of the age spectrum, this is a breakout of Florida's share of family visitors, where the typical year of visitation is on the top, so from 2019, with 36% of Florida's domestic visitors being families. And the CDC estimates that 1 out of every 6 children ages 3 to 17 has one or more developmental disabilities, such as ADHD, autism spectrum disorder, or other intellectual disabilities. So a good portion of those travelers, too, and those visitors, are important to Florida. And I want to echo what Josh Loebner said this morning about it being an incremental process. We started our journey with this traveling audience in 2017. We published an accessible travel article series on visitflorida.com. It was an 8-piece article series featuring destinations around the state. These are some of the titles that were featured in those series. And our website was recognized later that year by Skift, which is a travel publication, as one of the best websites in the world because, quote, Visit Florida showcases services and attractions for what are often underserved corners of the population, such as disabled travelers. And then after that happened, we spent the next 1.5 years creating enough content so we could launch an accessible travel hub, which we did in 2019. And now we've created over 100 pieces of content related to accessible travel, all on our Accessible Travel Hub. Then in April 2019, we partnered with Scary Mommy, which is a digital publication geared towards moms, to create awareness around Florida travel experiences for children on the spectrum. And this is an example of what one of those pieces of content looked like from an Instagram story, where we featured experiences and destinations around the state. And then in 2020, we had an opportunity to rethink the kind of message that we wanted to send to a population of people who were dreaming about travel, but not yet traveling. And we reshot in a spot that we call more of an anthemic spot, because it was really about what we wanted Florida to be seen by how we wanted Florida to be seen by travelers. I'm going to show that to you in a minute, but we shot 2 spots and launched 2 national commercials within about a 6-month period. The second one, which is the picture of the son and the dad golfing. The son is Chris Nikic. That's how he pronounces his name, Chris Nikic. He's the first person with Down syndrome to ever complete an Ironman. He's also a Floridian, and it was just a absolute treat to be able to feature him in one of our national advertising campaigns. So I'm going to show you the other one, which we call the anthemic spot now.
There you are. But what if instead you were here? That one-letter difference changes everything. Here shifts your perspective. Because vacations are less about what you do and more about what they do to you. So give yourself over to the sounds of waves washing up on shore. To naps on the beach, to full days without shoes or shirts or worries. Say yes to something new. Try conch. Try the front row. Try this. When you do, something happens that's indescribable. You are more you. They are more them. You see each other in a brighter light, and the warmth of those moments never fades. Somehow, a vacation can take you to exactly where you need to be. Which is, of course, here. That's the power of a Florida vacation.
So what I think is so great about that piece of work is that we were fully able to integrate this audience into our advertising campaign. It wasn't something that we did on the side. It was really all embraced, and I think that is something that we've made a conscious effort to do going forward. And just last week, we released a 6-episode video series called Limitless Florida, which is focused on adventure experiences. I'd like to play one of them for you now, but the subjects of these videos are really incredible. There's a fisherman. We highlight 3 veterans. One is a kiteboarder, a competitive biker, and a man who finds peace from his PTSD in the outdoors. I encourage you all to go to our YouTube channel to watch the 6 videos. In total, it takes about 18 minutes to watch the entire series, but I'm going to show you one of them right now. It's about a 3-minute video.
Scuba kind of incorporates a lot of different variables. You've got the physicality of it, the unknown of it, being able to see things that you've never seen before. You have the mental aspects of the fact that you're underwater somewhere, you're not supposed to be, really. There's just so many things about Florida that provide such a unique experience that you honestly won't see, not only anywhere in America, but in a lot of places anywhere in the world. I mean, it's gorgeous. There's really nothing like it. Being able to get into the water with Scuba and move around freely, it's an unreal experience, for sure.
I had a golden retriever who was a therapy dog, and we visited the hospital, and Ronnie was not doing well. He was recovering from a gunshot. All I knew about him was that he liked the outdoors. That's all I knew. And so I asked him if he was a scuba diver by any chance. And he said no, but I always wanted to learn. And at the time, his prognosis was not looking good. But I said, when you get better, look me up. And he said, but I'm paralyzed. How can I dive? I said, you're gonna be just as good, if not better, than a completely able-bodied diver. And he said, okay. He looked me up, and it was evident how talented he was in the water, but also his demeanor changed. His depression and a lot of things that are associated with being a random act of violence just changed.
Having someone like Gabrielle who's always there, just constantly pushing me along, giving me encouragement. Yeah, I've never met anyone like her. She is something else.
So for me, for example, I have rheumatoid arthritis and I live with pain. Most of my life I've lived with pain, but the only time I don't feel pain is when I'm scuba diving. I've seen scuba diving completely transform people's lives. You are breathing enriched oxygen at depth and it's permeating your tissues. And most of the people in my program who experience chronic pain say the same thing. Whether they have quadriplegia or paraplegia, they say that they just don't feel pain when they're diving.
There's a lot of uniqueness to Florida. Literally the amount of flora and fauna available within Florida is almost unparalleled. Florida is also a very accessible state. Just a lot of things to help the disabled go about their daily lives.
It's the very first dive master with paraplegia to be an SEI dive master. This is huge. Internationally, people are contacting me and just saying how cool it is that somebody with a disability of this extent could achieve this level of leadership. People here are more than accommodating. They are encouraging when it comes to welcoming people who are differently abled. I say people are as warm as the weather.
I really encourage everybody to watch all those videos because they're stories about our outdoor experiences and not necessarily only about the subjects, but as you can see, it's about scuba. It's about the relationship between Ronnie and Gabrielle. It's about just the wonderful experiences that you can have here. And so I think, what's next is we're going to continue to do that, and we're going to continue to develop these kinds of content and put media behind it to all kinds of travelers. Because we want to aim our efforts at closing the gap between the planning and the experience for people. We're also investing in research to better understand how to effectively reach this accessible traveling population. And we have partnered with TravelAbility to help our Florida partners become more prepared to meet the needs of travelers of all abilities. So that is me.
Because the Florida name is known everywhere, and then we, of course, between ourselves, Sarasota, Virginia's going to talk in a minute, whether it be Miami, Orlando, and everybody else, we all come under that umbrella, and it's about how you fit within that. So really looking at what we were doing, going back to this morning, was diversity, accessibility, and inclusion.
Welcome to sunny Tampa Bay. I'm Jamie, your accessible travel expert. My passion to explore all things accessible in Tampa is constantly evolving. As a travel advisor and travel enthusiast myself, I absolutely love sharing my tips and tricks. Some of the most accessible attractions in Tampa are actually step-free. So come along as I share with you my ultimate guide to Florida's most accessible destination. We're here at the Tampa Bay History Center. This is our first stop, and Manny is going to show us around. I really love how these screens up above show the different constellations. So one of the things that I really noticed as we toured around is the open space of all of the exhibits, really. And being in a power chair, I need a lot of extra room to be able to navigate.
All of our exhibit areas are accessible, and there's lots of different types of accessibility. So there's the ability to move around the galleries, but we also talk about how the fonts and graphics in the exhibits are designed and where those graphics are placed on a wall so folks can read them.
Wow, this is the elevator? I've never seen one this big before. For wheelchair users, the Tampa Riverwalk is ideal with all of its paved pathways. There's so much to see on your journey through the 2.6 miles that you can travel. There's restaurants, shops, tons of things to do. We couldn't have asked for a better day to do this, truly. And while you're on the Riverwalk, check out Pirate Water Taxi. There are several spots to get on and off. The water taxis are wheelchair accessible and guide dogs are allowed on board too. The captains give great information about Tampa. It's a beautiful view and a relaxing ride. I wonder if we'll see any gators out here today. You know, we've never really been to many parks that have a boardwalk like this that's so long. This is incredible. Usually they're not that accessible. I just absolutely love being able to get right in the center of the outdoors. Kevin and I are now at the Florida Aquarium. Oh wow, look at this. This is beautiful. You could spend your entire day just sitting right here. It's just so accessible. Everything is wide open. No problem getting around in my wheelchair.
Right from the get-go, once you enter the aquarium, everything is very accessible. All of our walkways are very large and all 3 of our stories are wheelchair accessible for everybody.
Oh my goodness. For me, going regular skydiving would be challenging. But this is a wonderful option, and you guys have a whole program for people with disabilities.
It's called All Abilities Night, and we cater to any special need that we can. We try to let everybody experience what it feels like to fly in the wind tunnel.
That was so cool! And that's a wrap on some of my favorite places to visit in Tampa Bay. Whether you're a nature lover or an adventure seeker, just know that the accessibility and the opportunities are endless, and I can't wait for you to explore them.
Well, I'm Virginia Haley. I'm with Visit Sarasota, and we were a destination that was overall really guilty in we started calling him Joe Six-Pack Dad, like the dad that has the abs that no one in the world has unless they're a professional actor or model. And all of the people that we're using in our advertising were just perfect and did not look like 99% of our visitors, although we have very nice, attractive visitors in Sarasota. And so back in 2015, 2016, we started to change overall the imagery that we were using, and using real families with children with disabilities. We shot meeting sites with people who were in wheelchairs, using real local people, sometimes mixed with professional models, but they just gave such a good feel to all of our marketing tools. And then from then, not only did we move away from the beautiful people to real people, we also started looking intentionally at who's in those pictures. So as I said, lots of different kinds of family groupings. There you go. Just to improve what we were doing. But I am a nana to a grandson, Carter, who's the best. Who's now 9 years old, nonverbal, very extreme on the autism scale. I've traveled with Carter. I have had my challenges with traveling with Carter, and so that gave us a greater awareness of opportunities overall for all disabilities. Some of the things we did with our beaches, like many of my colleagues in Florida, we're working on Moby mats and wheelchairs to get people out to the beaches. I'm still not satisfied because you need someone to push you out there. I'm not going to be happy until we can let you out there on your own, but we'll get there. And making sure we had stories on the website that talked about the experience, again, that we didn't write, that we had others helping us write those stories, and making sure that was available so people could get an idea of what that experience was like. What was also important that you've heard over and over again, we're partnering with resources in your community. So we had a Rotary Club in Sarasota looking for a project, and they took on the wheelchair accessibility as our beaches, as their project. And year after year, we've been building up the inventory of the wheelchairs thanks to one of our local Rotary clubs. So there's a lot of people out in the community willing to pitch in and make it a better community. In our visitor centers, one of the things we did was create a quiet room. It is definitely not a sensory room, but we knew we needed a place that if anyone just needed to get away, sit on a comfortable couch, have a moment to collect themselves in any way. It's a simple thing. And, you know, sometimes we use it to assemble welcome bags, but it's always there for our visitors to use. It cost us nothing. It was an extra small little room that wasn't used for much else. Let's see. And then obviously we worked with Alan to help with our visitor centers with the step one of his program in understanding and training all of our staff and our volunteers on the very basics of autism awareness. And it was interesting because you assume when you're in this world that everybody else understands it. As a nana to a child with autism, you think everyone understands. And they don't, and very well-meaning people can put families or couples in a situation where they're very unhappy or they're made to feel awkward. And Alan, your program was great for our team. I think they really, really learned a lot. And once we've got everybody rehired, we'll be able to go on to the next steps. But again, working in communities, and I know Patrick will laugh at this picture of our University of South Florida, and this is their president 2 presidents ago. But we worked, and many of our attractions have worked with the University of South Florida. A lot of universities have free resources available for you to help come in and help our attractions and businesses be more welcoming. In another case, we had the Easter seals work with our largest museum, Ringling Museum, so that one of the things they feature on their website is a walkthrough. So if you have an autistic child, you can actually go through the museum before your visit to see every part of your visit, understand what's coming, and then they have a sensory map that they developed with Easter seals that lets you know the different sensory experiences in the different parts of the museum. So not huge things and not things that necessarily had to cost a lot, but it's really my message for you would be tapping in to the resources that are in your community and really anxious to help you.
First of all, Virginia, you may say 2 presidents ago, but the last one was only there for a cup of coffee. So
well, that's true. That's true.
So it's really only like a year. So it's pretty recent.
It was a brief cup of coffee.
It was a very brief cup of coffee, yes. I guess you're up, David.
Is that me? Okay, yes, I am. Very good. I'm very loud, and I'll get excited here. So let me first clarify. I'm David Jones. I'm from the Florida Disabled Outdoors Association, now known as SportsAbility Alliance. We're a nonprofit that promotes and provides and enhances lives through accessible, inclusive recreation and active leisure, which gets us real involved with the leisure industry, very involved with programmatic access. You know, I feel like I'm preaching to the choir here because you're all into ADA compliance and accessibility. Inclusion is really where we're at. I started my organization back in 1988 after I was shot in a hunting accident. Survived a very serious brain injury that left me hemiplegic and with serious TBI issues that still remain to this day. But I was very fortunate to beat the prognosis and the, estimate of what kind of life I'd live. I wasn't supposed to live, wasn't supposed to walk, wasn't supposed to talk. Now I can't stop. But I've been very fortunate in my rehabilitation. And I guess let me back up because the FDOA was formed because of my experience in the therapeutic recreation field, doing 3 months of rehab, living in a hospital, trying to start my life over again. As I did that, I was healed and introduced to life again, my new life, which is what rehab is, because of the therapeutic recreation experience. As I did move out and continued outpatient therapy for another year, went back to FSU and finished my degree in the College of Business and Marketing, and decided that I wanted to help other people enjoy a successful return to life like I have, using outdoor recreation as a tool to do that. So I created the FDOA and got real involved with ADA compliance because I started the organization in 1990, and little did I know these people, these very smart, innovative, progressive people in DC were creating this new civil rights law called the ADA. So the Americans with Disabilities Act passed right when I started my nonprofit, which was meant to be a community-based therapeutic recreation support group, really. But because of what I was doing and my experience, I had people coming to me, how can we provide programmatic access? So I got real involved to teach and to learn about ADA compliance early on, but more importantly, how do you include people into programs? So outdoor recreation was my background and my existence, really. I realized, laying in that hospital for 3 months, the reason I worked was so I could earn money to go play. And outdoor recreation is how I played, and that's where I've got my socialization, my spiritual connection with life, and my physical activity to give me the exercise and the wellness that we all need. So recreation and active leisure is what we need. And we now, through this COVID thing, understand it's not just something you do in your spare time. It's something that humans need to survive and to thrive. And so this whole COVID thing has really put an emphasis on the need for outdoor recreation. And that's why I got involved with Visit Florida. Actually, we've got a great relationship and collaboration to help provide services for consumers of recreation of all abilities, but also we provide services for providers of those services. And that's the unique role that we play at the SportsAbility Alliance. We connect consumers and providers with accessibility and inclusion answers. The training, the motivation, the supports that we provide and connect people to is what makes travel successful and inclusive and accessible. And accessible is, again, we've heard this before, we're all about joy. And I'll say this too, Patrick, while I'm looking at you, I don't have an accent. Patrick has an accent. So I just want y'all to know that.
I think we both do.
Okay.
I don't think either one.
Been from Tallahassee, that's really South Georgia. But anyway, people with disabilities are just people. And we have the same interests and desires to do what everybody else does. And that's what I learned through my rehab. Everybody's not into hunting and fishing and boating and camping and hiking and scuba diving, but there's many other physical activities and leisure activities that are important. And that's what diversity is. It's not just male, female, black, white, big, little. It's what your interests are. And that's what we need to do, is make sure we include opportunities for people of all ages and all abilities to participate. And that's kind of the role we play. And I'm so proud to see Visit Florida and our destination marketing organizations adopt and adapt to providing this niche for people of all ages and all abilities. And we're here to work with them and with y'all to make this a better world, which is our mission, enhancing lives through accessible recreation and leisure. So thank y'all for having us here, and feel free to call on us at the FDOA if we can help you in any way.